Things like this happens when people act stupid. In 2012, a group of teenagers thought it was a good idea to go investigate a potential paranormal activity at an abandoned mansion that was said to be haunted. Some of them brought a knife, to defend themselves from ghosts. They got into the house and immediately noticed the bad smell coming from it, but they kept on going anyway. They saw creepy pictures on the wall and even weird equipment that looked like torture devices. When they were done sightseeing, they turned around to go home, but all the doors and windows closed at once, and things started happening. The furniture in the house started moving on its own, and the pictures came alive. One of the girls in the group got lucky and she passed out. She woke up the next morning to a horrible sight. She saw the slaughtered body of her friends all over the place. She then ran outside and called the cops. The authorities later found out that a weird gas was released in the house, and it made the teenagers hallucinate and go crazy, thereby killing each other. And that's for the girl who survived. She couldn't handle what happened that night, so she had a mental breakdown and spent most of her life at a psychiatric hospital.
Yes, the picture at the end is real. In 1876, a woman from a very prominent family in Paris goes missing. After years go by and no one has a clue what happened to this woman, friends and family ultimately mourn her death and move on. 25 years later, and this anonymous letter shows up on the Attorney General's desk, claiming that the missing woman's family had a secret. Intrigued by the letter, the police go to the family's home, show it to them, and ask to search the property, to which they say, go for it. They search, they don't find anything, but on the way out, they notice something very peculiar. At the end of some stairs was a door that was padlocked shut. When the family refused to open it, the police break it down and make a horrifying discovery. Cowering on a rotten straw mattress in a pitch black room was the missing woman, now 50 years old and extremely malnourished. Her mother had imprisoned her there after they had fought over her boyfriend, and she had not seen sunlight or another human being in 25 years.
People Who Have Been to Hell Part 1.
Howard. Howard was a 38-year-old art professor that was an atheist.
Thought that religious people were simple-minded or just completely living in a fantasy world.
He only cared about life pleasures and having fun.
But one day, he was having stomach pains.
His stomach acids were spilling into his abdominal cavity. The only way to survive was to have surgery in a few hours or else he would die. It was a Saturday and there was no surgeons working at the time to work on his body.
10 hours later, and he was ready to die. He then woke up outside of his body
And saw his wife crying. He then heard voices by the door, nice voices saying, come here, come with us. He followed them through a dark tunnel but then got scared and said he didn't want to go no more. That's when they got aggressive. That's when he said a lot of them appeared and started ripping him apart, taking them shred by shred.
He said a light came down and God grabbed him.
He said it felt amazing, and when he asked God what religion would be the best, God said whatever religion brings you closer to me. He's now a better man living a positive life. All his old toxic friends left him behind because of it. Did he go to hell or was it a hallucination? Like for part 3.
This is why you should never mess with a weird kid. So in 2003, a weird boy named Nathan was always bullied for playing Minecraft. Everyone called him the weird kid. Then one day, a bully started messing with the weird kid. He started taking Nathan's lunches and started beating him up in front of everybody. So Nathan wanted to take revenge. He would follow the bully home every day to find out where he lives. The bully actually lived under a freeway. He was broke. So this weird boy named Nathan started recording the bully in his house under the freeway. He later posted it on TV and it went viral. The bully was so embarrassed.
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All 4 of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing, and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers, and they confirmed that it was genuine.
Boy, did this kid pick a good night to have his phone out filming. In 2008, a teen decided he wanted to film himself playing the very creepy Midnight Game. In a nutshell, you turn off all the lights in your house and you walk around from midnight to 3:33 a.m. And if at any point you stop moving, the Midnight Man will attack you. Around 2 a.m., the kid thinks he hears something in the kitchen, but he also thinks his mind's just playing tricks on him because he is playing this game. But he goes to check it out anyways. When he gets downstairs, he doesn't hear anything, but he does see that his door is now open. And when he goes to shut it, someone pushes back. He sprints away, goes upstairs, jumps into his room, but keeps filming.
Urban legends that will haunt you. The dead boyfriend. A girl and her boyfriend were making out in his car in the middle of the woods so that way no one could see them. When they were done, the boy got out to go pee while the girl safely waited in the car. After waiting for 5 minutes, the girl got out of her car to go search for her boyfriend, but then she saw a shadow and returned to the car. Once back in the car, she started to hear a very faint squeak, squeak, squeak. This continued for a few more seconds until she got so scared she had to drive off. She hits the gas as hard as she could, but the car doesn't go anywhere because there's a rope tied from the bumper to a tree. She slams on the gas again, but then hears a loud scream. She gets out of the car and realizes that her boyfriend is hanging from the tree. And the squeaky noises were his shoes slightly scraping the roof of the car.
This is why you should never fall asleep in class. So in 2014, a little boy named James was just in high school. And after coming back from the bathroom, he was really tired, so he fell asleep in class. So this class was full of pranksters, and while he was sleeping in class, they decided to put him in a coffin and bury him alive. So while he was deep in sleep, they picked him up, put him in a coffin, and put him underground. Then they started shoveling dirt over his coffin. They were gonna let him out in 30 minutes, but their whole class forgot. Then 3 years later, he literally dug himself out of the coffin and he survived from eating dirt and bugs. This is why you should never wear your necklace in public. So in 2019, a little girl named Sally was walking around with a $25,000 necklace around her neck. At the time, she was considered as royalty. This was a VVS diamond chain, and she was just wearing it in public. And this chain could not be broken or taken off, so she would sleep and shower with it. And when she was at the mall, there was a bunch of robbers that were looting the stores. She was so scared. Robber came up to her and asked her for her necklace, but she said no. So the robber tried taking it off her neck, and it wouldn't come off. So he called over his boys, and they eventually ripped the necklace off of her neck. They took her whole head off just to get this chain.
Warning, you might not be able to sleep tonight. There's a story of a woman they call a monster within. In 2015, a patient began to have headaches and a doctor discovered what they thought was a brain tumor. When they removed it, it had hair, teeth, and bones. Not that bones. There you go. This fell into her brain when she was an embryo, and then it began to develop as her life went on. This condition is called teratoma, with 20,000 cases a year, and some cases even have eyes in them. Okay, that's enough internet for today.